Hello, I'm Hannah, and I'm coming out with my autism diagnosis and my other mental health disorders. And so, I honestly am not really into labels as much. So, even just saying this out loud feels really weird. Um, I don't like labels, I really don't. So, I wrote down things that I want to talk about, and I wrote down some questions for myself as well in order to remember because I honestly have trouble remembering what I'm going to talk about or what I'm going to say or really even what I did yesterday. So I'm going to just be looking at my tablet the whole time or most of the time in order to remember what to say. So another thing is I laugh when I'm nervous. So you might see me doing that a lot as well. So the first thing I want to talk about, I guess I want to say that I want to talk about my autism and my ADHD slash ADD. And it's mostly about those two, but I do want to mention I have a lot of anxiety and social anxiety, and depression is a big one, has been a thing my whole life. I've always known that. But the one that I really just found out about a little bit over, no, I just found out less than a year ago in 2025, early 2025. Right now we're in January 2026, just in case for whoever's watching this, if it's later on, then you guys know what day it is. But yeah, so see, this is really hard. Oh my gosh. So I get so nervous that I start to stutter. I forget what I'm gonna say. Okay. The purpose of me making this video is for me to express myself a little bit more and get to know myself. This is a very personal video for myself, and it's hard to talk about this with other people, but I do feel this calling and this push to just talk about it. Hopefully someone can relate with me, and I really want to connect with the community. I haven't really done much research on it. I just know who, I don't really actually know myself that well, but I just know what this disorder looks like for me. But I'm not really speaking for anyone. I'm not trying to make this for you to diagnose yourself or anything like that. I'm not a professional. This is really just for my own experience, and possibly it's kind of therapeutic as well. And I just hopefully it can help someone else. I don't want to say it's like high functioning and this and that, because even that is sounds so, I don't know, I guess limiting. I know that autism looks very differently for everyone, so just hear me out. The timeline of these diagnoses have been a little bit, I can't really remember exactly when I was diagnosed with ADHD. I believe when I was really little. The last memory that I had was when I came to the US. I came at 8 years old. I was born in Puerto Rico, and I moved here with my mom and my sister, and we moved to South Florida. And I remember going to a therapist or either a psychiatrist, I don't know, but I just remember talking to someone, and I was there with my sister and my mom. And I remember they gave me a medication for something, which my mom doesn't even remember either, because I honestly think she has ADD too. So a lot of times when I try to ask her about my childhood or anything from the past, even yesterday, she doesn't remember, and I'm just like that, unfortunately. But what I'm trying to say is basically the last time I remember speaking to someone when I was a little kid was around 8 years old, 7 or 8. And that's when I probably was diagnosed with ADHD. I think I was more hyper back then, but then little by little, I just, honestly, I don't even know how it happened, but from my recollection, from 8 years old up to now, I'm 29 years old now, I've always felt very calm, and people always say that about me. Also, I tend to be, or I tend to be very introverted. And so before being diagnosed with autism, I always felt like, oh, I just have anxiety. I just have social anxiety. And I learned that towards my like early 20s. Like, I don't think before high school or before college, I knew about these terms too much. It was not something we talked about. And in my culture, family and my mom, I guess, they don't really believe, or back then they didn't really believe in these things, and it was just like, if you go to a therapist, you're crazy kind of thing. It's kind of like a taboo. So even talking about it now is hard, but I'm learning to kind of just accept it and speak a little bit more about it whenever I can, or if someone brings it up or something, I let them know that's what I have too. That way, I don't know. I think I start to say it now so I can get more comfortable with it, because I'm usually a very private person, and anything that's too personal is uncomfortable to talk about. Probably out of the fear of judgment and stuff like that. That's one of my biggest fears, or at least has been. I'm trying to get better at that. All right, so with autism, I got diagnosed last year, right? And the reason I got diagnosed was because I think at the time I was just getting so burned out by my career, which is I am a hairstylist. I specialize in curly hair, and I've been doing it for over 5 years, since 2020. And honestly, I say that I was really, really burnt out last year, but I've been burnt out since years ago, to be honest, since the beginning of it. I easily get burned out by tasks, anything that requires a lot of energy, socializing, things like that. So basically, last year I was having a really bad time because I moved to a new city away from my family. I only had like an aunt and with a cousin and uncle in this new city, and I was with my ex at the time, my partner at the time, and I was feeling really lonely, burnt out, depressed, all that stuff. And so I was thinking maybe I should start a new career, maybe I need to go back to school. Um, and I was like confused on what to do because I don't know what else to do. All I've ever really liked was hair, but just the task of it, or at least the amount of repetition and of standing all day, and like the labor of it repetitively is really exhausting for my body, especially the socializing. So I get burned out extremely easy. So I remember talking about it with my sister, and she told me like, how about you join? Oh, okay, wait. So I was looking, if I was gonna go back to school, I was thinking I'm not going to pay for um education again, because I really didn't want to go back to school. I really didn't. I ever since I did beauty school, because let me go back a little bit more. Before I did beauty school, from 2014 to 2020, I had first gone to school for science, something related with science. At first it was nursing, but that wasn't going to work out for me, so I immediately switched to biology. And then I did 4 years of that, but I didn't finish. I did it at very slow paced, and I really had a bad time in school. um, like testing comprehension, things like that, distraction from ADHD or ADD. So like I really didn't like school at all. It just wasn't for me. I think I tried to force it because of my parents, or at least from because of my mom. But I only went into the science because that's what my mom did, and I really didn't know what else to do. I didn't think hair was ever gonna be my thing, even though as a little kid I always loved doing hair on other people, students, like classmates. I was that kid doing hair on everybody, including my family. That's what I love, but I never knew when I was going into college that I was going to actually follow that, because I remember speaking to a counselor in college, first freshman year orientation. They ask you like, so what do you like? What do you want to do? And I was like so confused. I didn't know what to do. And I really wanted to say, like when she asked, what do you like? I'm like, I really wanted to say hair, but it was like so out of the question. Like it was just like, no way. There's no way. My mom was not going to allow me to do that. And I was next to my mom, so I had this pressure of like, yeah, that's embarrassing. I'm not going to say that out loud. And my mom is right here. I'm pretty sure she's not going to like for me to say this. But anyways, that was my mentality back then. I don't feel that way now. I was really insecure. I didn't know who I was. I've never known who I am. I've always struggled with that. So because of that, I remember saying biology or science or nursing. I think I wanted to do labor and delivery nursing because I love babies, and it was probably good pay, and it's a good career, something you're doing good for the community, right? And from there, I went into the science field, changed it a couple of times. Then I met my ex, and he inspired me to, you know what, like a year in or two, 2 years, no, 2 years of going into school, I met my partner at the time, and he was someone that was into the creative field. So he was doing film, and I thought that was so inspiring. I'm like, how come I was feeling some sort of jealousy from that? And I remember reflecting and feeling like, why do I feel this way? Could it be because I deeply desire to do something that is creative or that I really want to do, but it's always looked down upon or looked as if it's not like it's not a career because it's not a doctor, lawyer, or whatever other. So I remember like getting inspired and thinking, you know what, that's what I really want to do. And so I kept having that in my mind, and years went by. I think I remember trying to go and see different beauty schools and stuff like that, but I just didn't, like, things weren't aligning for me at the time. So I don't know if I went through more depression and just stuff that I can't remember exactly, but things getting delayed. And then finally, I think the right time came in 2020, and I went into beauty school, and I found I really wanted to go to the best school ever in my area. So I went to Palm Mitchell, which is, I believe, honestly, was the best school in my area because everything else was like really low quality. The education was terrible. Teachers were not good or just very cheapy. I don't know how else to describe it, but not the best school. So I went into that school. I had the best time. I loved school so much. This was the first time ever feeling like I belong somewhere. Oh, I'm gonna get emotional. I remember I love my teachers. I had the best teachers ever. And I finally was doing something I really liked. And I felt accepted. I remember like my teachers being really kind to me and seeing my worth. I felt like worthy, right? Finally, at something. So I did that. I immediately knew I wanted to focus on curly hair. So I remember a few months later, after being in school, I joined a salon that also specialized on curly hair. So I got to learn a lot from there. And then I got burned out, and I wasn't really treated nicely, or I didn't feel like I was being treated nicely. So I stopped it. And after like a month or two, I took a curly hair class for coloring cutting, and I met this other amazing person who told me that she wanted to hire me. And I was like, I don't know, because I'm trying to take school. I want to focus in my school. Like, I know doing school and work was stressing me out, but you know what? I needed the money and the experience, so I accepted it. I went and I toured her salon and did a 1 day assisting, and I really loved the environment, and it was fine. And then time happened. Months later, I felt like I had to go because they wanted me to stay even longer, and I felt ready to do hair, but they wanted me to continue assisting, and that wasn't working for me. So I went to another salon who was looking for exactly what I wanted, and I grew there. And then after almost a year, I ended up getting my own salon suite, which is like you get like a little studio, and you can basically like having a salon but with one chair. And so I grew from there. A couple years later, almost 2 to 3, I moved to a new city where I am now, and I basically had to start over. And I moved to this new city with my partner at the time, and it was really hard at first, and things were not working out because I got a suite in a new location with no clients. I just had people coming from my old city, and then also a few new people from this new city. But like everything that I tried that was working before wasn't working for me. So then I felt the pull to go work in a new salon, and that's something that I realized like I really didn't want to do it. And I know now it's because of autism, in the sense of I really did well by myself, but then there was a part of me that missed having people around, not to socialize with, but just to have someone around where not I don't feel so lonely. And also I felt very claustrophobic in that small space. It was like 100 square feet. It was so tiny. Yeah. So then I worked in a new salon. Almost a year later, I moved to another city that's close by, and I also had to move salons. And now here I am in another city within very close by to the other one. But I'm in a new salon now. I'm working for myself, and I have a little bit more freedom, and I'm doing better here and there. Like I'm growing, but it's only been a year, so I think I'm doing well. It's just I have my moments of feeling not good enough, or like I'm not doing enough, or like questioning my life and feeling stuck a lot of times, because I think about why am I feeling this way about my career, but then this is what I feel like I should be doing because this is what I really know and this is what I'm good at. I feel like I talked about that, but I had to talk a little bit about the background of what happened and who I am, right? Like how I got here. So about almost a year ago, not a year ago, but almost a year, I decided to look for new careers to do, and I was thinking of another science-related thing, something that's secure, right? Because this job is the hair job is just like a hustle type of job where it's exhausting, where you constantly you don't know if someone's gonna cancel on you, you don't really get benefits, there's not as much security is what I'm trying to say. But it's still my passion and I love it, and I just wish I could do less days of it. That way I can have more energy to do other things. This is why it's so difficult to talk and to talk on camera, especially on camera, because I go on and on and on and forget what I was saying. But I know that I was talking about how I was looking for a career, and so I was looking for another career. I think I was gonna do like ultrasound, and I came across people talking about it and it seemed interesting. I was looking for things that were not laborious, and I think that was going to do a toll on my body because I'm already developing carpal tunnel on my left hand, even though I'm a righty, so I don't understand. But I'm still figuring that out. Like, I don't know what's happening. And with ultrasounds, you do have to do repetitive motions with machines or something. I don't know if I'm 100% correct about that, but that's not my passion. And realistically, like, I'm just looking for an exit, even though I know that if I go towards something I'm not passionate about, I'm going to go back into the same circle of feeling like I want to change. I want to run away. I don't like this. I want to do something else. So yeah, I struggle with staying consistent with things, as you can see. So I let that thought go away. But basically, I was going to get help from a program that helps you go back to school or find a career based on your needs. And it helps for people with disabilities. And at the time, I didn't know I had autism, but I knew I had ADHD and anxiety. So I knew that they were going to help me. So before I contacted them, I was looking into the careers, and I got so discouraged that I just forgot about it and decided, you know what? I still had this feeling though I didn't know much about autism, but I don't know why. It was like a knowing or like downloads or something. I don't know what to call it, but I kept feeling like maybe I should look into autism. I think it's one of them is because I had come across someone who she really reminded me of myself, and the way she explained and expressed herself was so similar to me that I realized, oh, I wonder if what's wrong with me is what she has. And she has autism and ADHD. So I looked it up and I did like online quizzes to see like how relatable it was to me. And I don't even know if I'm using the right terms, so I apologize about that. I just struggle with words a lot of times. But anyways, I did my research and I was like, wow, like this really sounds like me. So let me at least go and get my own test. So instead of waiting for that program, I decided let me just go to a psychiatrist. And I found a psychiatrist online who specializes on people with autism. And they did a 3-session testing. I don't know what it's called, but they did 3 sessions. And at the end, that took like a couple weeks. And the results were that I have autism level 1. From then, I felt so much relief because my whole life, I always felt so different, weird, alien. I never could relate with people. I always felt like awkward, like social gatherings were so uncomfortable for me, and I would get overstimulated. I now know the words overstimulation or overstimulated. Back then I didn't know that's what it was, and I wish I would have known more because then I would have understood and gave myself some grace. Back then I would just like shame myself a lot, like what's wrong with me? Like I don't feel like a normal person. I didn't feel capable or worthy. And I know this also comes from like my traumas, because growing up I really wasn't supported with the things that I liked or who I was in my home, in my family, at home. And if I had to say who was I bullied, I think it was mostly from my home. I think I was bullied as a kid, but I just don't have like actual memories. I mean, I have one memory of getting in a fight. They made me and my sister fight, in school, but and then like typical racial racism. For the most part, I also try to get along with people, and I was also a people pleaser. Like I tried to be friends with whoever would talk to me and just be kind, and I would try to be like them in order to be liked. And now I found out while talking to the psychiatrist that that was considered masking, because with everyone I was a different person. And at the time I would feel like, man, am I like fake? Because I don't know who I am and I'm acting differently with everyone. So I had a lot of insecurities, which I'm still working on. Like I still have a hard time understanding myself and like autism and ADHD, because it's not something I'm looking up all day, or even if I look it up, I forget. But I know at least like some traits are definitely my ADHD and some are my autism. I know my forgetfulness comes from the ADHD, and my comprehension, I have issues with comprehending when I'm reading. I have to read things over and over again. I remember when I first learned English, I remember saying I didn't want to learn it. Like I was super against it. And everybody told me that too, that I was so against wanting to learn English. But then after I saw my sister doing it, and my sister's good with that. She's good with languages. She loves reading. She was always the one like really book smart and stuff like that. And I always felt so stupid. Like, why can't I comprehend things like other people do? And I still feel a lot of like shame and guilt and embarrassment from it, because I wish I could just be normal. I feel shame saying it out loud because I feel like, wow, like I'm still that insecure. I still don't accept myself fully as much as I wish I could. With the masking part, learning about that, I realized that, I never felt like my natural self was ever enough. I always felt like I was performing, trying to be someone else. And even then, like, I knew that I was doing that, but that's just all I knew how to be. I really have a hard time speaking and saying my emotions and feelings and putting them into words, and speaking for long periods of times without stuttering or stopping. I don't know how I was when I was little. I feel like I have to talk about this with my father, because he's the only one who really remembers me, or so he says, but I barely speak to him. And he doesn't live in the same country, so it's hard. But even when I try to ask my mom about these things, she just said I was a normal child in her eyes. But I think my mom has her own mental disabilities that she doesn't know or hasn't gotten the diagnosis for. And, but for sure ADD is one of them, and either she's in denial, or she just doesn't want to get help, or doesn't believe in that stuff, or doesn't remember. Which is really frustrating, because like I really wish I could know who I am and who I was when I was younger. With comprehension and processing, for me it looks like sometimes I don't fully understand what people mean when they talk. Like what I think they mean is always either it's something else. But honestly, it's weird, because this is something I remember as a kid, that as very little, like I honestly, the earliest memory, like probably even kindergarten up to 5th grade or even middle school, I always had this weird desire and frustration, feeling like, why can I read people's minds? And I had to let go. I know I let go of that, but it was a really strong desire. I want to read people's minds. Why can't I read people's minds? This is really weird. This is a little bit off topic, but I do want to say I do believe in past lives. And like looking at it now, I do wonder if like, oh, did I speak telepathically before? And when I came to this life, it was an issue for me as a kid to like not being able to read other people's minds, instead of speak. Back then I would say read people's minds, but it's really just speaking telepathically. But what I want to say about that is that maybe I was doing it as a little kid here, and I didn't know I was doing that. Like I think I'm really good at feeling what someone else is feeling and thinking. And I still do. So I don't know if that is part of telepathy, but and it's been proven, I believe, because I've seen people that can do this. I can feel what someone is thinking, and like thoughts come into my mind. Like, let's say I'm with a client and they're getting frustrated. I can feel that. Or if they really like something, or if they don't like it, or if they don't want to talk, or if what they're saying doesn't match what I feel. That's what I would feel when I was a kid. And I would get so frustrated. I always felt like people are either lying or just not truthful or just not genuine, or I don't know. I remember feeling really frustrated as a kid. I felt like life, nobody made sense to me. Nobody made sense. And that's what I mean by things didn't make sense in social situations. But I am very hyper vigilant of everything around me. And so, for example, at work, I can literally notice and hear and know what's going on across the salon or in a different room. Like, I am extremely hyper vigilant. I notice and feel everything that's around me, and that's always been a struggle, especially working with other people, is that I really feel things really deeply, and this is where the empath of me comes through. I don't know, but I know for some people, like, autism can look different. Like, they may not show any empathy or understand empathy, or I've heard that before, but for me, I am extremely sensitive when it comes to feeling people's emotions. I do question if this is part of because of my trauma as a child, like constantly feeling like I had to be tippy-toeing everywhere in my home. Like I didn't want to upset anyone. Being the one in the middle, trying to comfort others by changing the subject or laughing out of nervousness to soothe myself. So relationships have always been very hard for me. Friendships and romantic relationships have been very difficult as well. It's like I easily get burned out by them. And I don't know if I ever truly love someone how people mention love is. And I've always questioned, like, am I capable of loving someone? But then if I feel so much love for my cats, why can't I feel that for others? And I don't know if this is part of autism. It might just be from my upbringing. I wasn't really shown love unconditionally. I do feel it at times when I love my friend, or I love you, and to a friend or my ex, like I felt love for them and I cared about them. But then when I look up the meaning of like unconditional love, I don't think I ever felt that, in the sense of like, maybe at the beginning of my relationships, but like throughout the years of that relationship, I felt like I was staying for the ease and comfort and the connection that I had with that person. It's the only person I ever really truly connected and could be myself with. I've never been able to do that with anyone else. Maybe my sister, but it's really hard to be myself with others, and that's the person that I only felt super connected with. So that was my excuse of staying for a long time. But I realized that it wasn't a good connection for me, or at least we were just not in the same path, and we were just not compatible anymore. I'm no longer the person I was when I met him, so it was really straining the relationship. So yeah, I could say I really cared about him and loved him as a person, but being in love, being in butterflies, things like that, I think I only felt at the beginning, like maybe the first year or two, unfortunately. It's hard for me to call people and text them every day, and keep up with people every day, kind of thing. Like, the only one that I can stay in touch with right now is my mom, and even now it's been a couple of days since I've actually been consistently calling her. I didn't really have a good relationship growing up with her, so it took me some time to heal, and I'm still healing. And but these last couple months, I've been able to connect with her a little bit more. So we try to talk every day, but it's hard. It's hard. I feel like it takes a lot of energy from me, and I feel super selfish about this, and I feel bad. And even admitting it was really hard to say this to the psychiatrist, but I think now I'm just like accepting it, that hey, this is okay, this is normal, this is how I am. Like, I can't continue pretending to be this extroverted person that I'm not. And so, yeah, I don't know if I'll ever have amazing bestie friendships that other people tend to have, and as a neurotypical person, I don't know. Right now, I don't really have friends. Um, I have like, I mean, I have people that I used to talk to, but I haven't really talked to them in so long that it doesn't feel like a friendship. And like making plans with people is hard as well. And like when coworkers will tell me to hang out and go party and clubbing and drinking and all those things, I really don't like to do those things. They take away so much energy. I end up having it takes me days to feel normal or like feel like I have the energy just to get out of the bed, unfortunately. And I used to think I was lazy because of that. And I know I'm not. I know I'm not. It's just this feeling of like, I truly, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I can't get up kind of feeling. Like, as much as I want to get up and do things, I really want to get things done. Sometimes it gets really hard to do things if I spent all that energy with social situations. Oh, and then don't get me started with family gatherings. Honestly, that has been one of my biggest struggles my whole life is having to go to family gatherings. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I think it's not because of my family. No, it's not because of my family. It's mostly because my family loves to bring in plenty of people. I'm talking about 50 people in a house. And people don't, I don't know. And I don't like, I hate, okay, maybe I shouldn't say hate. I despise small conversations. And I honestly feel so uncomfortable speaking about myself because like what else am I going to talk about? Speaking about I mostly speak to people. If I'm going to talk to someone, it's like I have to like get out of my way, like literally mask, literally become this other person and ask people questions because that's all I've done my whole life. It's like I don't want to talk about me. I don't know what else to talk about. Because the things that I like feel uncomfortable to talk about. And since I'm only talking about them, it gets draining. You know what I mean? Like, I get tired. So, and I'm not into politics. I'm not into like other topics that people talk about. Honestly, I can't even think about it right now. But I think people, you would, I don't know. I feel like someone's gonna understand what I'm trying to say here. My gosh. But yeah, the point is, I don't like small conversations, small topics, and just random topics about random things. Like, I don't even know, bro. Okay, this is crazy. I don't know why I feel crazy right now. I feel silly because I guess I'm being myself. Even making this video doesn't feel real. Like, I don't know if am I being myself right now because I feel like I'm talking a lot, but I don't know. So, what do I like, right? So, I liked hair. I still do, but it's not something I like to talk about. Like, that's not, back then I would watch hair, binge on hair beauty stuff all day long from morning to night, every single day in middle school, high school, and college. But then as soon as I became a hairstylist, I kind of like didn't want to watch that stuff anymore. Like, I don't know. I got tired of it. So like I do it, but I don't want to watch other people do it. Like, I don't need to look up a tutorial and stuff like that, right? And then now, my obsession, I guess, I don't know what else to call it, is self-development, spiritual things, things that are hopefully for me to get answers from not just outside sources, but from within. So I don't know if this is gonna go off topic, but I'm into psychic stuff, is what I'm trying to say here. And I do relate autism a lot with being psychic because a lot of the things that people talk about when it comes to being psychic, I feel like is related to the science of autism. And I can't exactly, I know I'm saying this, but I can't really put it into words what I mean by that right now. So maybe in the future we'll talk about that in another video. I believe I'm a very deep thinker and I like deep conversations. I find myself to be very sensitive and intuitive. I have very vivid dreams. Always have very lucid dreams. I know now I see myself, like I tend to travel to different places in my dreams, countries, dimensions. I find myself to be creative. I like doing things with my hands. As a little girl, I used to draw, but then I stopped it, probably out of insecurity, because my sister does that, and I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to do the same thing as my sister at the time. So I love things that are like building things with my hands. That's why I probably do hair. Like I like doing ceramics. I haven't done it in a very long time, but that's something I really liked or like. And I also, anything like arts and crafts. I used to do a lot of like bracelets and jewelry, things like that as a kid, teenager. Why is the dog barking? Okay, I guess I'm just gonna wait for that to stop. Just like, I love anything that is like artsy and film. As a kid, I always loved doing film, videos, recording videos. I loved editing videos as a kid. I literally remember in middle school and high school, I was that kid with those cameras, those digital cameras, walking around and doing vlogs before it was called a vlog. And I'm talking about like the 2010s. I'm 29, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. I'm 29 years old. I graduated in 2014 from high school. So, why is this dog barking right now? This is why I have cats. Just kidding. I love dogs too. I love animals. I love animals, all of them. But I am a cat person. I wish I could have a dog when I have a bigger space. But I have 3 cats right now. She's looking at me like, what? No, you're not getting a dog. She doesn't like dogs. As a little girl, I was always like doing videos and stuff like that. And I would post it on like MySpace, Facebook, and then YouTube. In school, I was always recording. Which comes in handy now, of course. And then I always, growing up, I had a fear of being seen. So this is why I'm practicing being on camera, because like I had a fear of speaking and a fear of being seen on camera and just putting myself out there. It's a huge fear that I've had. I'm still trying to conquer that. I'm working on that. I find myself to be very empathetic, especially with animals, people, anything. I feel emotions deeply, a little bit too deep. And I take things very literal. I don't like sarcasm. I never did. I always take things literally. And when someone speaks in a sarcastic way, it feels irritating, to be honest. Because why can't you just I don't know, say what you really mean? Like, why does it have to be this sarcastic, rude way? To me, it's rude. To me, it always comes off rude. I don't know why. Maybe because it's usually rude what they're saying. I do have an ability of hyper focusing on things that I really am interested in, and when I'm not interested in something, I literally space out, daydream, wonder. Yeah, I do self-reflect a lot, which back then it was a lot of times in a negative way. I would judge myself a lot and criticize myself a lot, but I know these things come from my parenting. There was a lot of judgment in my life. So that's all I knew. I'm very spiritually curious. I think I mentioned that already, that I love to know more about the spiritual world and what's out there and what we really are. Because I don't believe I'm just this human being. I know, not believe, I know I'm a spiritual being living a human experience. And then my challenges would be burnout. I easily get overwhelmed, fatigued. I forget things a lot. I get emotional overload. That happens a lot. I think at home I express it with frustration, anger, and stuff like that. And I try to mask it in real life. I try to mask it, but then of course I go home and I release, and it's always not in a negative. It was always in a negative way of either crying or feeling depressed or feeling tired, feeling not motivated to do things, not wanting to see anyone, do anything. And a lot of times I do feel like I am misunderstood with who I am, because a lot of times maybe my facial expression shows differently from what I really feel inside. And so people usually, when they meet me, I feel like they don't like me. And I don't know if it's because of what I look like or the way I express myself or whatever, but inside I'm just trying to be normal and be liked by being kind and respecting others. But I'm not an extrovert, so sometimes it's really hard to be that new girl and trying to talk to everybody. I can't do it. I can't do that. And I think people expect that. At least that's what I usually feel that people expect, which then makes me come off like, oh, she's rude, oh, she's distant, even though that's what I feel that they're doing. So it's like, we're all mirrors. That's what I feel. I've learned to realize, like, what I feel about others is probably what I'm doing or I come across as. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not aware of what I look like and my expressions, to be honest. So, um, I don't know. I just know what I feel. And I don't know if what I feel is true. So, but I say that, but I know that every time I feel something, it's always proven to me that it was correct. So that's where I am learning to listen to my intuition. I wish I would have known about this sooner, because then maybe I would have gotten the help I needed in school. Maybe my parents would have understood me a little bit better and would have had a little bit of grace, at least a little bit of grace with me. I wish maybe at work it wouldn't be so hard, and in general life I wouldn't have been so hard on myself in general, because I've always been very hard on myself, but it did start from home. I'm not trying to just blame home. I'm trying to take accountability that I do that to myself, but I understand it came from my past. So I guess this is why I'm making the video, because I wish autism had more awareness. There was more awareness on it, especially level 1, because it really feels like I'm not normal enough to be neurotypical, but then I don't feel like as disabled as someone with level 2 or 3, and I don't mean to disrespect anyone. I just don't know how else to word these words, how to put these words or my thoughts into words. So it's hard to even say it out loud. I don't know if what I'm saying is gonna be offensive to someone else, and that's not my intention at all. Just hope that this video can help someone, and I wish more people would talk about this so we can understand each other a little bit more and make this world a little bit more inclusive, because everyone is really different, and autism, it looks differently on everyone. I'm still learning myself, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video, listening to me, and I just hope that someone else can take something out of this, and that we can all learn from each other. So feel free to talk about yourself, your story, or someone else's story that you know on the comments. And I just want to spread more awareness and get to know other people, because I really don't know personally anyone that has autism in my life, or that is open about it anyway. So here's to a new year, 2026, being authentic, being yourself, whatever that is. I hope to make more videos, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I would love to get to know every single one of you. See you next time. Bye.